Hello everyone, I'm JoltKing627, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Big Power Electric Model 501. Let's get right into it. Full disclosure, Big Power Electric sent this to me free of charge for purposes of review, and I'd like to thank them for that. Now, let's take a look at what you get in the package. Inside we find the blaster, 2 targets, safety goggles, darts, batteries, the instructions, and a pamphlet showing all of their releases. Starting off with the accessories, they give you some rudimentary eye protection. They're tinted red and they distort your vision quite a bit, but it was still nice of them to include them. It also comes with a pair of these targets that you can knock over with your darts. They have little lugs on the bases to let them connect together to make a larger target. And of course, they include 50 of their standard darts. The foam is pretty decent quality, but unfortunately these are hard-tip darts. There's absolutely no compression to this solid rubber head whatsoever. They're definitely not safe to use. I highly recommend using waffles, chilies, and the like. And now, of course, the actual blaster. The blaster is a semi-automatic revolver flywheeler. Very clearly draws its inspiration from the Nerf Ultra 2, except instead of 6 shots of Ultra, you get 7 shots of Elite. As always with Big Power Electric, the plastic is pretty good quality. There's little to no creak or flex in the entire shell, and the handle is very large and ergonomically friendly. A lot more comfortable than the Ultra 2 grip. The cylinder rotates freely, making it very easy to rear load your darts. Rotation is on trigger pull, and it is nice and satisfying. However, when I first got this blaster, the trigger had an issue with being very sluggish and not wanting to return properly. I took it apart and lubed up the trigger mechanism, and that seemed to fix it, but it's still something of note. Up here in front of the cylinder, we have a jam door. There is a small issue with the jam door. Once you have it open, you can clear out all of your jam, but when you go to close it, it can be very difficult. I have to use my fingernail to pop it in, which is actually starting to stress the shell. Luckily, Big Power Electric is aware of this issue and they are working on a fix. Up top here, we have an N-Strike rail. Unfortunately, the tolerances of the rail are just slightly off. Both Nerf's attachments and their own are actually really loose on there. Thankfully, I can't really see myself putting a scope on this thing anyway. Up here, we have the battery tray. It takes 6 AA batteries with 1 layer underneath here. Of note, the screw for the battery door does yet again appear to be screwing directly into the plastic of the shell, so I would be a little bit worried about the longevity of that hole. As far as performance goes, I'm getting about high 50s to low 60s with this, and that's a little bit low. It's tolerable, but for 6 AAs, I think you should be getting a little bit more than that. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the internals and compare them to what you find in an Ultra 2. Alright, let's go ahead and get the shell open. Once again, all of the screws are the same size. And the battery tray is on this side of the shell, so we need to make sure not to pull the wires. Alright, what we find in here is a pretty simple mechanism. The trigger mechanism on the Big Power Electric blaster is a lot simpler than the one on the Nerf Ultra 2. The Nerf Ultra 2 has an actual geared lever. The rotation arm and the pusher arm are separate pieces on top of each other that push in a straight line. Whereas on the Big Power Electric version, it is much simpler. It is a one-piece lever here for the actual pusher, and it rotates, and a nub on the front of the trigger for the rotation. Overall, this system is a lot less complicated, and it works pretty well. The only thing I would say is bad about the Big Power Electric version of the mechanism is it doesn't have a stopper for when you are not pulling the trigger. Here on the Ultra 2, this piece actually slides up, so when the trigger is all the way forward, it blocks any darts from falling into the flywheel cage. That mechanism is not present on the Big Power Electric version. However, the dart fit is good enough that unless you use a dart that both has very worn out foam and a head that is smaller diameter than the foam, you shouldn't have an issue. For example, during the recording for the firing footage of this video, I accidentally loaded in a very worn out chili dart, and it actually fell out of the barrel as soon as I started revving. But all of the other darts I used, including other chili darts, had no issue. Down here we have the rev trigger, and underneath this plate, there is a lock that prevents you from pulling the main trigger until you have pulled the rev trigger, and it would be very easy to remove. Between the cylinder and this plate, there's actually a spring-loaded clutch. Up front here we have the faux barreling material, and it appears to be cracked like it was in the Big 505. This doesn't affect performance or anything, but it's not really a good look. Here we have the flywheel cage, which has foam pads on both sides to help deaden the noise. It has the standard Big Power Electric wheels, which have holes in the top. They're concave in the center and ribbed on the outside. The concavity lets the hard-tip darts that are included with the blaster fit through without shattering the flywheels. If your trigger is having issues returning like mine was, just lubricate up all of these areas of the trigger and it should work just fine. Alright, that's just about it. The internals of this blaster are pretty simple. Let's go ahead and put it back together. Just be careful not to pinch any of the wires and you should be good. Alright, now we can put all the screws back in. We're done here. Now, let's go see it fire. Alright, first up we've got some of the included hard-tip darts. Now some AccuFakes. Some Adventure Force waffle heads. And finally, some Dart Zone chili arts. So, final thoughts. What do I think of this blaster? Honestly, I love it. It's easily Big Power Electric's best offering so far. It's comfortable, fun to use, has decent mod potential, and comes in at a pretty affordable price of $20 United States dollars on Amazon. That's not bad. The stock performance is a little bit low, but you can mod it to do so much more. I've seen Maritime Foam mod his to take LiPo, and it's quite the monster. I'm definitely gonna have to do more with mine in the future. I love this thing. Even just in stock form, it's a great plinker. I'll have a link in the description box below to where you can buy one of these on Amazon. I highly recommend you check it out. In addition, I'll make sure to have a link to Maritime Foam's mod guide for this blaster. That being said, remember to like, comment, subscribe, check out the merch, and thank you all for watching. Finally, some Dart Zone chili darts. That's new.